demand reparations now. We must continue to support organizations like the New African People's Organization under the leadership of Chokwe Lumumba, who have assumed responsibility for participating in the movement to free all political prisoners like Mumia Abul Jamal, whose son is here today, Geronimo Pratt, Suniata Kolo, and many, many others who are locked up in the brutal penitentiaries of this country. We must continue to support the work of the All African People's Revolutionary Party and their leader, Kwame Ture, who has assumed responsibility for struggling to fight for a free and independent Africa that is united and free from European domination.
That's Dr. Conrad Worrell from the National Black United Front at the Million Man March 30 years ago. You hear reparations, you hear a Pan-Africanist approach to solidarity across black communities and the regions of black folks all over this world. Super happy to welcome to this program Mazzy Kasher and Rodney Muhammad. Good brothers. You know, this is the 30th anniversary. I don't know if y'all are excited, but I'm like pumped up here. You know what I mean? Just remembering what it was and what it felt like and the energy and really, you know, want to talk to you all about how do we reinvigorate that? How do we return to that? How do we bring that level of energy back to black men and to the black community? But welcome both, Mr. Mazzy Kasher, the good brother Rodney Muhammad, here to Evening Words. Rodney, let's start with you. You were directly and deeply involved with organizing the effort out of Philadelphia. Philadelphia delivered the largest amount of black men to that 1 million number. I believe at the time you were leading through the NAACP. But take us back to the moment and what was going on at the planning stages.
Well, it started in 1989 with we started a Stop the Killing tour. We went to every city, large or small, in the United States of America. On that tour, we came to Philadelphia in 1990 in April, and about 14,000 were out in Philadelphia, and then we went on to Atlanta. But long thing short, after an address at the International Press Club in Washington, D.C., and that speech by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was transcribed into a book called Torchlight for America. The Million Man March took place shortly after that. We were in New York City. I never forget it. We were at the Armory, 12,000 to 13,000, just men were out. He only wanted men, and there was great controversy, not only in New York, but in Philadelphia. They didn't want Teddy Pendergrass could have an all-women concert, but Farrakhan couldn't have an all-black men meeting, and it was a big controversy then. But needless to say, the words came out of his mouth in New York City. I want 1 million of you to meet me in Washington. It was almost like when he rethought it, he didn't mean to say it like that fast. But once it was out there, he said, then we're going with it. And when he asked for October the 7th, which he had considered the birthday of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, they said the 7th was out. The congressman told him, but we could get the 16th. He said, well, that's good because 1 and 6 is 7. So
mathematics.
Yeah. Now, the regular civil rights leaders were telling him, Farrakhan, you can't give a march on a Monday. And it was a Monday. And he said, you got to do it on a Saturday. But he pushed for that Monday, and some men took off work and everything. But I mean, the rest is history. It took on a life of its own, even though there was opposition. The ADL tried to stop it on October the 4th, 1995. I think what they did was so outrageous that it infuriated black men that were on the fence about whether or not they were going to go to Washington and support it. But it started from a Stop the Killing tour. Minister Farrakhan said in 1987, if we don't get our behavior together on the streets, the government is going to use that as an occasion to send the troops into our city.
My.
That was 1987. He kept saying it. Many black leaders, I have to be honest, just didn't take heed to what the minister was saying. They just thought he was too far out there looking, but we're looking right at it today. They're not only sending troops, but they're fighting all the way to the Supreme Court for the right to be able to send troops at will anytime into the cities. But this march started out of a deep desire to get black men together. Because since I've known the minister since 1979, he's always talked about our killing each other on the street. You have to remember, at the time of the march, 25 to 40 black men were being killed on the streets every day. We were totally, at the end of a year, the medium figure was around 10,000. Yeah. We lost 59,000 soldiers. 20,000 of them were black in the Vietnam War. That was a 9-year conflict. In 9 years on the streets of America, with 10,000 black men dying every day, anywhere from 90 to 100,000 were dead, just from street violence. So the minister was saying we would stand a better chance living in a war zone overseas for a black man to live on the streets of America. So he was very passionate about this and going after this. Philadelphia needed organization, and the mayor at that time was Ed Rendell. The city manager, director, Joe Sertain, went to him to talk to him about this march and how much it was needed, because one of Dr. King's disciples, Reverend Bevel, of the South, he said to Minister Farrakhan, we need to pray and atone. Yeah. And when he said atone, it resonated through the minister, because he kept saying, we got the march together, but something's missing. And so atonement, reconciliation, and responsibility became the core themes for the Million Man March. He did not want, though they were pressing him, he didn't want black men going before the world, going before white America begging. He said, we're not asking them for nothing. We paid for the march ourselves. We all went in our own pockets and everything. But in Philadelphia, I have to give the credit to Joe Sertain. He really helped us organize union leaders, and that I was going down the list of people in Philadelphia who played a prominent role with the minister in this, starting with Dave Richardson, who never lived to get to the march. But aside from me, he was the only one, we were the only ones talking about the Million Man March, and that we got to get 1 million men into Washington, D.C. But Cody Anderson of WHAT came on board. Mary Mason was a 30-year friend of Minister Farrakhan, so she brought him on her show to the city, but she pushed from her microphone. It was Jerry Mondesire who went to the march, but they all had dinner with the minister. He had started the Philadelphia Sun newspaper, but Jerry was so inspired, he came back to Philadelphia with the intent of running to be president, because Bill Cosby's nephew was president of the NAACP. But when Jerry took it over, it really revived it, and he ran it for 17 years until he had to step down. And that's when I ran to keep what he had put together going. But, we had so many giants. Barbara Cox of the Black Family Reunion. I just, Carol Campbell, of the Black Ward leaders at that time. She was over them in the city. Minister Farrakhan had traveled the country. He said the strongest organization by far, head and shoulders above everyone, was in Philadelphia.
That's incredible. Thank you for that history, Brother Muhammad. Yeah. I want to go over to you, man. When you hear Brother Muhammad talk about the germ, the original inspiration for the Million Man March being that Stop the Killing movement that the nation was holding forth. First, connect some dots for us, brother. So you are the founder of Philly Truce. You and Brother Muhammad are putting together this 30-year anniversary commemoration of this historic moment for black men in this nation. And Philly Truce is conscripted to the same mission as the Nation Stop the Killing movement.
The parallels are uncanny. Our bread and butter initiative is called Peace Patrol. It's community-led visible deterrence. We got guys about to go out right now somewhere in South Philly, 6:30 to 10:30. 4 tours a night, 45 minutes out, 15 minutes down, and every one of those brothers is newly returned to the community from incarceration. So there's that parallel. I'm listening to the struggle to get the date you want. Obviously, we wanted the 16th to commemorate this. We couldn't get that. We got the 26th. I was almost in November. I couldn't get to November. I said we got to settle on something.
Oh, yes, sir.
So many parallels, but it's beautiful to hear that history. And we've been doing a lot of interviews together, and I keep hearing a little more. And some of those names I knew growing up. And I think the spirit, right? We heard at the press conference earlier, the spirit of the Million Man March. I'm one of the ones who did not go. I'm one of the ones who the fear mongering got the best of me, and I always say that. If I had an old head, if I had a mentor, if I had somebody was like, "Come on, man, we going," I would have went because I was very much on the fence, but I didn't have that. And so that's another tie-in. With Philly Truce, our stated mission is sustainable Black manhood, driving the impact of sustainable Black manhood. And you hear like the clip you opened up with reparations. Here we go again. Curtis Jones has taken a huge step forward, at the insistence of urgence and of Obama and his team. And he has put forth a resolution, 25781, to hold hearings to establish an Office of Freedmen Affairs in this city. So I guess we're going to keep coming to this point until we get over this hump. Till we get
it right. We're not. We got to take a quick break here, gentlemen. You're listening to Evening Words on WRD, Progressive Black Talk Media on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WordRadio.com, and the Word Radio app. We are deep into conversation on the occasion of the 30th anniversary of the Million Man March. We are speaking with Mazzy Kasher, who is the founder of Philly Truce and past Philadelphia NAACP president, as well as the current leader of Mosque Number 12 right here in Philadelphia, the good brother Rodney Muhammad. We'll have more of this important conversation right after this commercial break. Evening Words is back on WRD 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WordRadio.com, and the Word Radio app. We are energized and pumped up right now about the 30th anniversary of the Million Man March. I'm speaking with the founder of Philly Truce, Mazzy Kasher, and the lead of Mosque Number 12 right here in Philadelphia, the good brother Rodney Muhammad. Brother Muhammad, Mazzy, welcome back to Evening Words. Brother Muhammad, I want to circle back to you because there was a big and raising debate about the purpose and the viability of this, making this a black man's march. It seems I'm not into conspiracy. I'm not a conspiracy. I talk to conspiracy theorists every day, but I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Okay, but there was a lot of platforming of this idea that black women were critiquing this because it was an all men's march. But on the ground, in the streets, in the community, in my household, and my sisters, there was a groundswell of support from black women. Encouraging us to do this and supporting us in doing that. I felt very supported by all the black women. And I lived with my sisters at the time, right here in Philly. I lived with my sisters at the time that I went, and they were supporting us. So, again, no conspiracy, but there was a lot of platforming and focus on black women critiquing this moment. But on the ground, in the reality of it, there were a lot of black women in my immediate experience who were very supportive of what we were doing. Like, go ahead and do that work. Young man, talk a little bit about that, Brother Muhammad, because you mentioned all the great black women who helped out, but that wasn't the narrative that the media was running with at the time.
The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, I always remember, he's always coming from a spiritual, moral, and historical framework. Mm-hmm. And he knew that the framework in America, when we were brought here, was to reflect their civilization through the woman, but the whole civilization was hell bent on the breakdown of the black man. Mm. And so the minister knew that women had played such a vital role in helping black men. And I should say this too, that there's no way that nearly 2 million black men got to Washington, D.C. without the black woman.
Period.
And her support. And so the minister...
It's impossible. It's impossible, right?
And keep in mind, his words were, he wanted the black man to grow up.
Yeah.
And this is what he needed the woman to stay home so that he could go and do this. And there were efforts. One thing they couldn't see, because if anything and anyone is waiting on something in America, it's black women. As much as they have suffered and as much as they have done to hold us together, they've been helping us since we were children to keep us in line from rising up against massa, knowing that it could result in death or you being maimed for life, or worse, being sold off from her to you again. So we've been trained since we've been here to don't get this man too upset with you. And it never allowed us to become the men that we should be for her, for ourselves, and to our God. And this is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's thinking. And it worked because in 24 hours, black men in this country served a death blow to all the negative images depicted and exported around the world that we never would have known about had he not gone with our entourage on 3 World Friendship Tours. That's how we found out what Hollywood was doing with boys in the hood. Not men in the hood, but boys in the hood, menace to society. All of these movies were out then, and the gangster rap was seeping in now from the creative genius of our young black men on the streets, who, mind you, had captured the imagination of young people all over the world.
Yep.
I mean, as strict as Iran can be, young Iranians risked everything to
listen to Snoop and Dre. To listen to Snoop and Dre.
They wanted to hear this. So, we would no one from white America was ever going to tell us that this was going on our behalf on the planet. And if ever there was a time that the world needed encouragement, and we didn't know that they would see it, but C-SPAN decided to show the whole thing. You got to remember that 48 hours before we got there, 15,000 troops were sent in. They were expecting black men to act crazy.
There was not one incident of violence, not one skirmish, not anything reported at all.
And then, so when they couldn't attack us on that, and notwithstanding that the marshal of the park said this was one of the most peaceful gatherings in the history of gatherings in Washington, D.C., they tried to say we only had a couple of hundred, maybe 400,000 out. But guess what? The metro of Washington, D.C., the turnstile shows you exact figures. On a Monday, the volume of traffic is somewhere around 202,000. On that Monday, it was 847,000. Just riding the train in. So we talked about RFK Stadium full of buses, people who flew in overnight. All hotels were full. A group of 250 men marched from Philadelphia and walked I-95 down. There is no way in God's earth we didn't far exceed 1 million people, but they did not.
And Brother Muhammad, also besides the point, is the largest gathering of black men in the history of this country. Period.
So we couldn't have just been prouder of black men and what we were able to do. This is why you hear the cry, "Long live the spirit of the Million Man March." When you see a Solomon Jones setting up Man Up, when you see a Anton Moore doing what he's doing with unity in the community down in South Philly. And there were other groups that started. Then I learned more about Philly Truth. All of these people are shouldering themselves with the spirit of the Million Man March, which is really the spirit of self-determination. Don't stop waiting for someone else to determine for you what your destiny is. And know if it makes sense for Irish to look out for and build for Irish, Jews to look out for and build for Jews, Italians, likewise. Why am I out of my mind? Or why is Philly Truth out of their mind to say we can do something for ourselves? Why does that have to be the craziest idea anybody ever came with? And you're charged with parting from reality, talking about black people even trying to build anything. We built 100 towns, and most of us couldn't read and write when we did that. Now we're armed with degrees and everything, and we can't build a neighborhood.
Brother Mazzy, I know you want to weigh in here. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah.
No, I'm listening. I'm enjoying listening. I just keep being struck by the parallels
Of this moment in that moment, yes.
Of this moment, right. So it was gangster rap, now it's drill or wherever we at.
Yes, sir.
Right. It's just all the same thing, and that's again how Philly Truth was born. You know, Steve and my co-founder Steve Pickens, we went to high school together in this time, right, in the crack era. 504 homicides in 1990. Then 30 years later, in 2020, we hearing this run up to 500. Now, and then we was 15. In 2020, we said, well, we grown men now. We got to be able to do something. And that's how Philly Truth was born. So the parallels give us promise that we're taking the right steps, but at the same time, the parallels are a little disheartening because that means we on a hamster wheel of sorts, you know. So I'm enjoying just listening to the minister. I do want to just throw out some of the logistics.
Yes, please, because we only got a couple minutes. Talk about the actual event, because we can sit here and talk about this all night long. But Brother Mazzy, please share with us the details about the event, please.
Yes, sir. So Sunday, October 26th is the day. And again, the other parallel, if you can't do that Sunday, we got church. And listen, we heard all the same arguments. It's 700,000 of us in this city, and church is not going to go out of business if you don't show up.
Right.
Please, brothers, don't get hung up on that. Anyway, Sunday, October 26th, our approach is we want to have 3 community rallying points at 8 a.m. That's North Philly, Broad and Master, South Philly, Broad and Christian, West Philly, 30th and Market. All of these locations are about a mile and some change from Love Park. At 9:15 or so, we're going to all leave our starting points, and we're going to arrive at Love Park. And there, we will put on stage from 10:30 to 12:30 these innovators, some of which have come out of the spirit of the Million Man March, have actually been there. Social innovators, right? Guys who do the work, who can give us best practices, our own best practices around cooperative economics of what we need to do to stay on the cutting edge with AI and technology. What are the best youth engagement strategies, right? What is the most we could do to help our young men, our young children recapture some love of learning and some appreciation for processes, right? And what is the thing they can do on October 27th to put energy toward that, right? And so the action is the theme of this one is action, brotherly action. And of course, we're going to feature, Councilmember Jones's 25781. Again, this is the closest, the closest I've ever heard or seen us being to resuming reconstruction or reparations. And we're going to talk about raising the estate and badges of slavery and all that stuff. And if that's a little too much for you, we got a whole other team working on some soft, fun stuff for you, some comedy shows and some fashion shows, and get you in the mood for something serious by the time Sunday comes. So go to phillytruths.com and you can get all the info you need. And the last thing I'm going to say, we are still holding open community meetings Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. You go to phillytruths.com. At that time, you can hit that link and you can come in and talk about what you want to see happen or who you think should be on the stage. So it's all open, it's all love. And Minister Muhammad, thank you for your blessing, bro.
And I thank you all. You all are a blessing to me, and I'm just loving this. And if I could just say, Dr. Peterson, that on the 19th, the public should know that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan stopped speaking in the public 2 years ago. So he has been supplying notes to us through his national representative. So on the 19th at our mosque, Sunday morning at 11 a.m., we're going to be anxiously listening because we're bringing in via the webcast the headquarter flagship mosque of the Nation of Islam to be hearing directly from Chicago on this national and now global effort. And so it's vital now in a time like this that we get the most valuable thing that Black people could get, and that's guidance. I would say that when the Twin Towers went down, white America was saying, we're going to get whoever did this to us. But I can tell you every mosque in the Nation of Islam was full. They wanted to hear. They didn't trust CNN. They didn't, because, see, Black folks process religion a little different than others, and some thought the world was coming to an end. And they weren't sure. And so they packed our houses all over America, frightened. This is such a time. We're at the crust of something happening on this planet. And no dollar will save us, but guidance will. Moses didn't pay to get him out of Egypt. He guided him out of Egypt.
I know, that's right.
Because God guided him. So come on out Sunday. We're right across from Vernon Park, 5727 Germantown Avenue, Mosque number 12 this Sunday. No later than 11 a.m. because we're gonna bring it right in from Chicago.
Awesome. Minister Rodney Muhammad from Mosque number 12 in Philadelphia. Mazzy Kasher, co-founder of Philly Truths, doing that work in the streets of Philadelphia. Mazzy, Minister Muhammad, thank you, brother, so much. I know you guys are busy. You doing press conferences, interviews everywhere. I appreciate you taking some time and coming on Evening Words to celebrate the 30th anniversary of Million Man March with our listeners and also help folks understand how they can continue that celebration over the next several weeks.
Yes,
we appreciate it. We appreciate it.
Thank you.